Hi, Barbara.
Hi, how are you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing fine. Welcome to I've Never Met a Woman Architect Before podcast with Michelle Grace Huddle. I'm Michelle Grace Huddle, and this is Barbara Peterson.
Hello.
Hello. Barbara is from Texas and has been in Oklahoma for just 4.5 years. She's a registered landscape architect in both Texas and Oklahoma, and spends I'm going to have to do this bigger. So, and spends her weekends traveling the state where she has now been to and photographed over 420 towns, which is over 400 more than she ever stopped at in Texas, where she lived since 73. She doesn't photograph residences or drive through neighborhoods, but has seen every architectural style from historic 1800s brickwork to modern glass clad structures. She has been pleasantly surprised at the diversity of Oklahoma architecture because she had previously only drove through Oklahoma on the highway, so she never expected the stunning diversity of the state or its architecture. She was involved for a short time with OKASLA, and before moving to Tulsa, was involved and supported a 4-year high school architecture program in North Dallas. Her son and a friend's daughter both graduated from that program and both went on to study architecture. Her son is working on his ARE, and the friend's daughter is finishing her university studies.
That's about it. Massively exciting. I don't know if I am the evil influence that helped to get my son into architecture because he's been on construction sites literally since he was in a front carrier. And
Yeah.
I kept thinking, oh man, those contractors are going to hate him because he might be young, but he knows what he's talking about. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh, yeah. 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 Well, they're probably
so
gonna hate him anyway, right? This love hate relationship with contractors and architects. But so I'm Barbara was in the Mothers in Architecture, still is in the Mothers in Architecture group. She's in Oklahoma. I flew to see my parents who live in Joplin, Missouri, and so her and my Caitlin Parker, we had lunch in, what was the name of that place that we had lunch in?
the vault.
The Vault, which
Hmm.
is an old bank, old mid-century modern bank with a spiral stair, and it was, great. Food was great. And so I wanted Barbara and Caitlin both to be on the podcast at one time, but we're doing them separate because of time constraints over the holidays. But so anyway, it was a pleasure meeting them there. I would have spent more time, but the rain was horrible that week that I was there.
Yeah.
So so I had to go back to Joplin, Missouri
And be
before,
safe.
yes, to be safe. Yeah. So are you ready for the holidays?
I am. I'm actually, I don't, I guess, do the holidays. So
Uh-huh.
I travel on the holidays because I've
Oh,
got
okay.
families in Michigan, Austin, Texas, and Florida.
Uh-huh.
So I just consider them a long weekend.
Uh-huh.
And as long as it's not snowing or icy or hailing, hence the 400 and something places, I drive wherever. So,
So do you drive there over the
yeah,
holidays? Oh, you do? Oh, wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Every weekend I drive somewhere out west Oklahoma. It's usually 3-day weekends because it
Oh,
takes long to get out there since I'm on Tulsa's on the far east side. And if I want to go
yeah.
to the far west side, that's like 8
Yes.
hours.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I drive because if I see something that's interesting or a road that looks interesting, I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I wanna go there." So I go,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, I have seen that's when I, did the statement about seeing a lot of different architectural styles and
Wow.
things. It's to me, because okay, this is gonna be a little biased, but I don't nobody said anything, but being from Texas, I'm like, oh, Oklahoma. I'm sure Oklahomans go, oh, Texans. So there is an unspoken rivalry. So I was thinking, oh, Oklahoma, they're not going to have anything. And then I started driving and I'm like, oh my God, that's really cool. Oh my God, that's really. So it's kind of fun to
Yeah.
see all
Yeah.
the things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I mean, there's of course, there's Frank Lloyd Wright buildings in Oklahoma, and then I mean, there's the house that's in Tulsa, and then there's the
uh-huh.
um,
Bartlesville too.
yes, Bartlesville, of course,
Uh-huh.
with the tower. So the Price Tower. We'll have to see what's going on with that, right? You're gonna have to be our yeah.
Yeah, I
Have
need
to,
to do an actual weekend there so I can really check out. I've been to Bartlesville a couple times, but I would like to stay at it and do the house or the apartment hotel kind of tour and things like that with it because I haven't been into any of the units there.
yeah.
Um, but it is interesting. One was 2 Christmases ago, my son was up and we drove to Bartlesville. He drove,
Uh-huh.
and they weren't having tours, but they have a museum of the building.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
got to tour through that and look at that, and he um, found that really interesting
Mhm.
to look at, and I did too. So I was like, "This is kind of cool." So I'd like to stay there
Mhm.
um, and really get the feel of that building.
Yeah, I hope
But
they open it up again. I mean, my mom wants to live there. My mom
oh,
says she wants to live there. She's not going to live there, but she wants to live there. I like said that I would get them a night there for their anniversary, and she was like, "Oh, I don't want to just stay there for one night. I want to live there." I'm like, well, if you're going to move, then you should be moving out closer to me. But we'll see how that goes. So yeah. So, what are your first recollections of experiencing architecture?
okay. I'm going.
And you can do the landscape architecture route because
eh,
you are trained and you are a licensed landscape architect. So,
But landscape architecture, I honestly didn't know what that was until I went to college and somebody was flipping through the catalog
uh,
and they said, "It sounds like this is what you want to be doing." And then I was like, "Oh, it does." So, but architecture, no, I know because landscape is harder because it involves such a great diversity of things, whether that's parks and trails or urban settings. So you have that
mhm,
whole thing. And a lot of it's designed so that it is not noticeable.
mhm.
And so that makes it hard if somebody goes, "Oh, I like the whatnot, whatnot." So, but architecture, yeah, you've seen that forever. My first inklings of architecture, of course, came from what I saw on TV, a lot of the sci-fi movies. So
Uh-huh.
I went from brutalism and that futuristic architecture style and really liking that to the Victorian style, all ornate and
Uh-huh.
filled out. Really appreciated that. So that was fun. And then also going to my mom is German, and
Uh-huh.
so every summer we would go to Germany, North Germany, and so I influenced, I think, by the color and the buildings there. They're
Mhm.
not what most
Yeah.
people think of as Germany
Where
because
where where were you? Where were you in Germany? We're in northern Germany.
on the Baltic,
Yeah.
near-ish, the,
Like
closer
Hamburg?
to the Danish.
Yeah.
If you do Hamburg and then go northeast till you hit right at the what used to be the border of East and West Germany. So
Okay.
we're close to that. So I remember going
Mhm.
to the beach there and you would just see a little chain you don't cross that line because that belonged to them and they could see what you were doing.
Yeah.
So you didn't
Yeah.
even play with that.
Yeah.
But
They
you know,
actually have it at the border beach down here too, between San Diego and yeah, between the United States and Mexico. They have it going into the that's
yeah,
where you're like, just a change. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But
you
you're
know,
like in East Germany, they're like, yeah, no, you can't see the towers over the trees, but they're there and they're watching the beaches. So didn't even play that you're just stand away and go, yep, that's Jane. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
So, but that area is, I think it's really nice. Might be because I'm used to it. Um, the
I lived
castles
in
over.
Denmark for a year. I
Oh,
went to school
okay.
in Denmark for a year. So we'd have to cross that all the time, right? Because they didn't have the bridges up. We'd have to go
Right.
across on the ferry with the train on the ferry. And yeah. It's so and yeah, we'd have to go through Hamburg like all the time, right? That was the only way, unless we were going to somewhere in Scandinavia, and then we would go, we'd go the other way on a ferry. But yeah.
Yeah, if you know where Bremen or Kiel is, Keil,
Yeah.
in Germany, they're on the Baltic, and we're closer to that, right on
Okay.
my grandparents are right on the beach. So the thatched roof houses, which I
Yeah.
just absolutely love those.
Yeah.
And so that was a good influencing, and they use all that the light soft pastel colors on the
Yeah.
buildings.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, why is that weird? When my mom moved to Florida and she wanted to paint their house instead
Uh-huh.
of a white, people were like, oh, what? Why are you doing that? And then after it was done, people were like, oh, that's pretty. Yes, it is. So
What
it's
part of
kind of,
Florida? It must not have been Miami, right? Was it
no,
Miami? It was so yeah.
no, it's south of Tampa. Um,
Okay.
and so, yeah, Miami, full of color. So
Yeah.
I like color that accents and brickwork that accents, but that all came from seeing all the different styles. And
Huh?
that's why I don't have a particular style that I really do. Like my son likes modern over
Uh-huh.
kinda everything, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I have begun to appreciate modern. I like modern architecture, but I like Googie and love Googie, but
Hmm.
love realism. Still like Victorian, so I can appreciate
Yeah. Yeah.
any kind of architecture as long as it's good
Yeah.
architecture.
And I guess that'll lead into what three classic buildings do you like and why? And when I say classic, I don't mean classical. I mean, iconic or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the 3 that really influenced or have a strong impression on me, the first is gonna be in Germany. That
Uh-huh.
is the Lübeck is the town, it's a was a city-state, but that was the big city near
Yeah.
where my grandparents were, and they
Uh-huh.
have a Rathaus, which is the courthouse. It
Yes.
was built in the 12th started in the 1200 late 1200s and went to the 1300s,
Uh-huh.
and kind of a Gothic, Renaissance style building with the big open plaza in the front that had, where you have the markets
Mhm.
and things, which are always, as a kid, fun to go to,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because they had all the little vendors and you got your sausage and stuff. But the Rathaus is cool because of, well, it looks cool, and, the inside is wood and warm and all that significance,
Hmm.
to that building.
Hmm.
So I really remember that, dark and cozy. And then the other is if you have seen pictures of what is it called? Uh, Spindelau in Vienna, done by Frederick Hundertwasser. And he was an artist who did
Mhm.
architecture. And the Spindelau is, as bizarre as it sounds, in the incinerator. But Google it, and there's color and brightness because he was an artist. So
Uh-huh.
it's a very cool, just visually, um, a very cool building. And when we went into the, I guess the main lobby, entry
Uh-huh.
lobby,
Mhm.
bright and airy, and you didn't feel confined and industrial, which I don't mind. But that felt very light and airy and open. So I like that play on light, and on
Mhm.
the outside, the color and the patterns and everything about that building. So that was
Uh-huh.
cool.
Okay.
Um, and then there is and that was Hundertwasser.
Uh-huh.
Um, he's done a lot in Austria. But there is also here the what is it? Contemporary Art Museum of Oklahoma. It's in Oklahoma City,
Okay.
and that is done by an Oklahoma architect, who plays with light and space.
Mhm.
Um, so when I first time I saw it was at night. I was going to another place. It was at night when I was coming back, and there were stripes going across the street, and I'm like, why are there stripes? They weren't painted. It was light stripes. So you had light, shadow, light, shadow.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I turned in there, and the building on one of its corners, um, the coating, the outside coat is metal,
Uh-huh.
so it is stripped. So you have nice stripes of the metal, air, and
Uh-huh.
in that corner they have a light somewhere that
Uh-huh.
shines through. So you get on the pavement or the
Mhm.
grass, that whole area,
Mhm.
the stripes of light. And
Yeah.
then when I went back and went during the day, it's
Mhm.
also nicely the light, it's a nice play. The art areas, of course, are not, it's all indirect light.
Mhm.
So that had a really nice feel to it, inviting and welcoming. And okay, I'm a stairway snob. Um, I do not like that stairways are tucked in the back as like, "Oh, it's an emergency thing. Use the elevator to go up. We're gonna
Uh-huh.
hide the stairs in the back in a corner and just make them." In this building, again, it's not a square box, it's kinda odd shaped.
Uh-huh.
So the stairwell is in a triangular space,
Mhm.
but it's a wide stairwell, so you go up this triangle with a view down the center, and it has a nice play of light. It
Uh-huh.
is lit, so not, sunlight. The lighting is there in the stairwell,
Mhm.
but you feel it's a soft light, and you
Yeah.
feel that play of it, so it's a very well-designed, stairwell. So every time I go, it's not like I'm going up 20 stories, I'm only going up 2. So it is that play of light that
Uh-huh.
you have in there. So to me,
And who's the
this
architect for
well,
that? You said it
uh,
was a
uh, oh god, you had to ask that, and I knew that. Um,
I'll just we'll
alright,
put all of them in the blog. We'll have photographs of them too. But
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
he, oh god, now I'm drawing a big fat blank.
that's okay.
Um,
That's okay. Yeah, it happens.
yeah, I should have written it down. Um, hang on, let's see if I did write it. No, because I thought, "Oh, I will remember that."
Yeah, that's
Um,
okay.
obviously didn't. It will come to me, um, right at the last minute.
Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah.
is,
And then you can just put it, yeah, you can put it in there.
yeah, I will blurt out a name and you'll go, "Okay, what?"
You
But
know when I
uh-huh,
remember them when we would be on the train, it would be Lubeck Station. Lubeck
mm,
Station. Lubeck Station. It's
they have a lot. Yeah, you should next time you're there, go. Lübeck is a small city
yeah,
state, so
yeah.
it's interesting because the train station is there. The main part of the
Mhm.
city
Mm.
is on back when they fortified with moats, so
Mhm.
the city was on the river and a little island, and they kinda kept digging and working so that the main that main part was surrounded by a moat. So the
Oh,
city
okay.
is surrounded by water, and you
Okay.
can still see the remnants of the walls and
Yeah, the
mounds
walls of the castle
here.
or the
Yeah,
or surrounding the city, the medieval wall that
exactly.
encloses the whole, yeah.
And there are still some of them. Oh, got the name of the guy. R-A-N-D,
Uh,
Elliott.
oh, okay.
He's an AI. I don't know if he's a fellow,
Uh-huh.
but he plays with light.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of his buildings. Um, I saw another one there in north of Oklahoma City, and it was a bank, and on the south and west side, he used slide glass, blue
Mm.
slide glass on the big giant windows.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and of course, I got there 15 minutes after the bank closed, so I couldn't go in and look.
Yeah.
But, and the security guard, when I'm peering in, was just like,
Yeah.
"Can I
Yeah.
help you?" "No, just
Yes.
looking at the building."
Yeah, just looking at the building, which I'm sure that he hears more than enough times. I mean, that
Yeah, but I'm like, "That's behind the teller, so you probably get great light in there, with a fun play because of the chunks
uh-huh.
of the class." So, obviously, I like architecture that
Plays with
either
light.
says something, yeah, that
Yeah.
has a play and respects every different element,
Uh-huh.
um, that it has. I
Yeah.
know all of them can't, but
Yeah.
it's really a nice building, um, to go see if you happen to be in Oklahoma
Yeah.
City.
Yeah. We went to see, my sons and I went over, we were in Tulsa a little bit early before we had to go to the airport. And so we went by the Bob Dylan Museum
Oh, uh-huh,
that I guess was designed that maybe that whole complex was designed by Olson Kundig or redesigned by Olson Kundig. And then they had
uh-huh,
some other museum designer do it. But I thought that that was like a really excellent museum, and I just thought that the museum design was also pretty cloud. I mean, there was a lot of integration between like the physical architectural pieces in it, and then the thing like that one stairway that goes up, and then it has all of the different parts, it has different lyrics of the song going all the way up the stairs, and then there's that image of Bob Dylan up at the top of the stairs. Which I thought that was like I took a photo of that. But yeah, I mean, I thought that that was a great space. And then the other one's kind of like the way that they have like that little sitting area where you can kind of sit and like look out onto you can look out onto the street, but then you're
mhm,
also kind of you're still in the museum, like kind of looking through,
right,
a place where you can still read the different books and things that they have on Bob Dylan and stuff, and just all of it. I mean, you know, and the person he actually let us go in for free because it was the end
oh,
of the day and we only had like 10 minutes left or
they're like,
something.
"Hurry
And he
up."
goes, yeah. He's like, yeah, usually he goes, people spend like 2 hours in here. And I'm
Oh,
like, well,
wow.
we have about 10 minutes.
Oh,
So, yeah. So we went in, looked around. It is a great museum. We're sorry that we couldn't have been there. I bet, we were there visiting, my mom and stepdad and stuff. So that was kind of our main focus of the trip, besides these little side ventures to Tulsa.
uh-huh,
Um, so, so what do you like about being a landscape architect or an architect or, kind of, like working with architects, or what do you
uh-huh.
kind of like feel as a landscape architect you kind of like bring to the team?
I think the hard thing about being a landscape architect is that because it is so broad what we do, like I said earlier, a building, if you're an architect, you go, I make a building. Everybody knows what a building is. Landscape architects do everything from park design, habitat restoration to urban plazas and centers.
Hmm.
And then there's the name. Everybody think they stop when you say landscape and they miss the end part and they think you mow lawns. And I'm like, No, I mow my lawn when I lived in a house and I do my yard and plant, but I
Uh-huh.
don't do it for anybody else.
Yeah,
And I don't put the
like a
poinsettias at the bottom.
landscaper, right? They always
Yeah,
think it's landscaper instead of
but
yeah, yeah.
exactly. And they think that, so that's what is hard to explain. So that's a negative, and even people that should be in the know.
Mhm.
Some architects, and I've worked with an architecture firm that would do the whole outside design. They do their building and then do the whole outside, and they'd
Mhm.
hand it and they go, here it is. And all you were doing is filling in plants. And I'm like, dude, you can hire somebody cheaper to do this because so that is a struggle because landscape architecture is hard to explain to people.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and even, yeah, even people in our profession.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, no, no. No, I had like I had like a probably an hour-long conversation with the landscape architect that's doing this because because we have to have a landscape architect for these four houses that we're doing.
Uh-huh.
And so he was like talking about like these pine trees, which I've like always been kind of against pine trees in Southern California, unless there may be like Torrey pines. But he was talking about these Aleppo pines, which I had never really, I didn't know what Aleppo pines were. I'd like heard it, I'd seen it on people's drawings and stuff. It's like I never connected the two, but
Uh-huh.
that's just, yeah, that's just, that's me. But it was but like right after that, I had gone to Palm Springs with one of my friends who's a sales rep, and then we went on a tour. And she's like, "Oh, look at that!" And I said, "Oh, I said those are." And then the tour guide had said, "Oh, these are Aleppo pines." And I'm like, "Oh, those are Aleppo pines." And then then I told the landscape architect I had taken a photograph, and I showed him. He goes, "Well, that's a poor example of it." I'm like, "Okay." All right. Well, these are here. They've been here for a long time. I don't know what, they've been here since the 60s, so I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't have put Aleppo pines in there. I don't know, you know.
It is hard because you do, like with landscape architects, I don't know an Aleppo pine, but you have some things, landscape architects
Mhm.
probably, I don't know, I would guess somewhere in the 80 to 90% do not know plants. That they know
Yeah. Yeah.
specific
And this
plants.
person does. Yeah. He definitely
Uh-huh.
knows plants, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you have
So,
to,
yeah.
the people that do, yeah, you're like, okay, I'm listening to you. Some are really kind of plant nerds and tree nerds. I'm a bit of an installation nerd. Um,
Okay.
so I will get on you about if something's wrong. Trust
Yeah.
me, I will point it out.
Right.
Um, but it's hard there. I mean, the thing yeah, so
Like the backwater valve. He also got into this big conversation about the backwater valve and the thing. And but again, excuse me, literally like 2 weeks later, I was at a house looking at this house where these people wanted to do an ADU.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. And there was a person, oh man, there was a person that and I don't edit either. So there was a person who uh they had just bought the house, and so they wanted this landscaper to come out and look at it, and then he was like showing like this different thing, and then I was like, oh, and then he goes, oh yeah, this is it, and I'm like, oh yeah, because you can't, because you need to have a backwater valve, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, see, there you go, I actually learned something, and I knew something when, and I, sounded like I knew something about these backwater valves. Which I mean, we have backwater valves that are going from the right so that the sewer doesn't back up in. That's what we have in this area. But your toilet has to be 24 inches above the
Uh-huh.
manhole cover. Yeah. So it was just kind of interesting that I'm like, oh, I didn't know about the other. He's like, well, yeah, like, okay, there you go. I like failed landscape 101 for the landscape architect again. The
See?
Aleppo pines and at least I knew.
That's okay. That's why you hire those knowledgeable landscape architects to help you out.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm like that, as long as you get the right one. I told my son when he decided to go into architecture in
Mhm.
he was middle school,
Uh-huh.
and he came home and he said, my teacher, this is, I think he was 7th or 8th grade, and he did Minecraft a lot, and he came home and he
Yes.
goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
my teacher said I should be an architect, but I told her you won't let me." And I'm like, "Wait, what? No, I didn't say that." And he goes, "Well, you said I can't do what you do." And I said, "No, no, no. I said that you um I have a thing where it's like, oh, my dad was a doctor, his dad was a doctor, his dad's dad was a doctor, and it's kind of expected you'll be a doctor." So I'm like, no, no, you can be an architect, you can be a landscape architect, but don't
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
am. You do it
Yeah.
because you want to do that. And he goes,
Yeah.
oh, well, then I want to be an architect. I said, okay.
I think
And
they hear us so much when the business part of it and just like bitching about certain things or just like, oh my gosh, or more plan check corrections. I'm like always bitching about plan check corrections. They're just a nightmare to me. But and then they keep it's just like repeating stuff back, and then I have to go and then I right as we're coordinating everybody else's plan check corrections also, so it's like, okay, it's not just
Mhm.
our plan check corrections. We have to make, we have to like see, it's like sometimes, the consultants, they're fine like doing that. And then some of them, it's like, okay, why did you you didn't do that? Then it came back as the next one. And then I try to like hands off until finally it's like, no, I have to be hands on and get into it and just start,
Yeah, it
right.
it's
It's
hard, it goes that way for us too, and he's
yeah.
experiencing now he's out and he's experiencing that, and I'm like, "Mhm, mhm, that's what happens." But, I mean, when people like whether it's landscape architecture or architecture, and they put effort into, um, making it pleasant for whoever the user is gonna be.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I think is fabulous and creative. I forgot what podcast I was listening to it, and they were like, "Whoa, hate whatever kind of architecture because it's all about the architect and their ego," and I'm like, good architects, no, no. It just happens to be that they understand and they're vocal about understanding. And I appreciate and like that people who have a firm idea of what they want and why,
Yeah.
that they stand with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
So
mean, of course there's some things that like, the client just will not but
the
but
album,
then there's other times where you're like, well, I told you, you want to say, I told you so, I told you so. It's like I've been doing this a long time. I've started working for an architect in 1983,
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I've been doing this landscape architecture. Now I'm doing plan review,
yes.
and I'm like, no, I when people call if I mark them up for something that's
Yeah,
on
yeah,
code, and they're
yeah,
like, yeah, but we've been doing this, and I'm like, so have I.
yeah.
So have I, and it's wrong anyway. You've been just admitted you've been doing it wrong for 20 years.
Ah,
Okay. But it is an interesting process to see people work through that,
yeah, yeah,
if they're doing
yeah,
it. So
yeah.
I like that about architects. I like the enthusiasm, like that high school program that my son went to
Yes,
and my friend's
yes,
daughter. It is
yeah.
taught by a licensed architect,
Uh-huh.
and it's one of those career center things where
Mhm.
everybody from the school district gets bused for 4 hours to the career center, and he runs it like a studio, college studio,
Yes,
and
yes,
then
yeah.
if you make it into the 4th, you can come in at any year. So if you're a junior and you're
Oh,
like, "I
okay.
wanna try
Yeah.
this architect," you're starting at the 1st year. But if you're a freshman, by year 4, you can intern,
Huh.
and by then, they know they have different skills, whether it's Photoshop, they've been doing AutoCAD, and I think
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
Revit.
Yeah.
So it's cool to and then the students have to present like they were, in college,
Yes.
and so he tries to get professional architects and like me, because my son was our landscape
Yeah.
architects, to come in
Yeah.
and crit them and talk to them
Yes.
about what they need to do. And it's neat, the students that I saw as freshmen and
Mhm.
then see as a senior after 4 years and like, wow, you've kinda learned that creativeness
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
ability to not worry about so much about, "Oh, well, everybody makes it a square, so I have to make it a square." No, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. We had a program. We actually did. I did go to a program like that in high school. That it was the same thing where all the different high schools, you know,
Mhm,
pitched in, sent for this one thing. It was like Parkway Technical School. I think it's still there. But they would also have like the other trades, but then they also had like a
mhm,
drafting program, and so that's where, so it's like I still had to draft machine parts and everything. But that's how I got really good. So by the
mhm,
time I went to college, it's like I already knew, because I had drafted in 10th grade also, and I think I drafted
mhm,
even in 8th grade. Um, and then in 10th grade, I had a drafting class in school, and I was also going to art school. But then in 11th and 12th grade, I went to this program half a day, just like we got on the bus.
mhm,
They took
and you're
us like
gone.
15 to 30 minutes. Yeah, yeah. And then it was the only thing is that he actually was a landscape architect who was teaching
Oh.
the class. Yeah, he was teaching in the class, and he never brought in anybody. So it was only his opinion.
Which
So
is which is hard
think it would have
because
been, yeah, I think it would have been much better, your program, and I don't know whether it's changed. So it's kind of like that. I mean, so
I think it helped the teacher there thought it was good. He tries to help the students,
mhm,
during like you would if you're just anywhere else as a teacher.
yeah,
But then they come and they present, so they learn that skill of standing in front of somebody and
yes,
explaining what they're
yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then you get feedback from
mhm,
multiple people about what they like, so I really think that helped with my son when he was a freshman in college. He goes, "God, they're stupid." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, those students, they're stupid. And I'm like, dude, you just
You're
had
like 4
4
years
years.
ahead of them. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Or
he's like,
when I tell people, when people say, "Oh, I have a master's degree in architecture," but if they had an undergraduate degree in something else, they're having a master's degree. They really only went to architecture school for 3 years. And unless
mhm,
they had something that was maybe, or they had some other influence in their life, they're really like, a third year student, which and ours was a
yeah,
5-year program. Ours was a 5-year program, and then I went like 2 years to community college because we weren't residents of California yet, and then transferred to it. So I went 6 years, to
uh-huh.
school, including a study abroad year. But yeah, it's like you're that many years, but so he was that many more years, ahead of time. And of course, there's like catch up, and then you've got different faculty members and things. And you kind of have to get in that kind of groove. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I look forward because I know the next question is what do I see the future of architecture?
Yes. What would you like
Are
to say about the
people
future of architecture?
well, landscape architecture and architecture, I think
Uh-huh.
that well, in the future of landscape architecture, we need to really get out and make sure people know what it is, as opposed to I put 3 pansies out. Good for you, pansies, yay! But I think that that is teaching the younger people, and it's fun to see their creativity and allowing them to express that. I I've told several students when I used to go to that all the time when I was in Dallas.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was like, you need to incorporate you. There was one student I remember, a boy, and I said, "So you play soccer, right? Are you on the team?" And he goes like, "How do you know that?" And I'm like, "Okay, first off, I can tell by how you're dressed." He didn't have a soccer uniform or anything on,
Uh-huh.
but he had that athletic look, and there was something that was saying soccer. So I
Mhm.
said, "You have to incorporate those interests in what you see." Of another student had a sibling with special needs, and I'm like, "You have
Mhm.
to incorporate." So, I think that encouraging them that that is a future, they'll start to see, "Oh, I gotta think about whatnot, whatnot." And I
Uh-huh.
think
Yeah.
that people are willing to do that, or students, younger people are
Yeah.
willing
Yeah.
to do that. And I think that is, um the part of that for the future because they'll understand how people use spaces
Yes.
and incorporate that because I think that it's some of it we've one term I absolutely hate is well we've always done that.
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't mean it's right because you've done it forever.
Yeah.
So the next time you visit a zoo, go kneel. And I did this thing where will take a picture standing, I'll
Wow.
take a picture kneeling, and then I'll sit down on the ground and take a picture, same spot. And you will see what different people see. And I did that, and I presented that to a conference, and they were like, "What you need to?" I'm like, "Ha, why do y'all not think of this?
Yeah.
Why?" And so
Yeah.
I think that students, as they learn, "Oh, so if I like doing X, how is that there's more other people that like doing X, how do we incorporate that?"
Mhm.
Um, the, use of hostile architecture
Mhm.
forms and spaces and things, or the signs that always say, "No, no, no, no this, no that, no, no." I hate those because I'm
Yeah.
like, you're not designing for the space,
Yeah.
and by
Yeah.
simply saying no to everything, and I'm hoping that the students will say, "Oh, okay, that's what we have to think about." You don't
Mhm.
want skateboarders? Put down if you're a landscape architect, don't do smooth concrete somewhere. They're not going to skate there because when they land, they're going to rumble over everything.
Yeah.
If you don't
Yeah.
want somebody doing parkour up your building, that look at go hang out with the parkour people, see what they do, what they don't like. And I think that as the students come through, that is that benefit that you're getting people that do different things and
Yes.
understand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah. People from different,
mhm,
the diversity of it. Yeah. Yeah. You have
yeah.
to like learn that like some people, I kind of had this one thing that one of my friends was doing a laundry room, and I was kind of laughing, and I said, have you ever been in a laundry room? Because I could kind of tell that he wasn't. I mean, he's a great guy, but it was just, this is a few years ago. But I was like saying, I said, yeah, I said, I can tell that like you've never been in a laundry room before, and like how
Uh,
a laundry room is used. You've always had a single family home that the laundry either was either a laundry room in the house or out in the garage or wherever, but you just kind of like don't know the whole kind of the concept of the laundry room,
Whoa.
even the idea is of like of a that being a communal space practically, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, or getting to know, or how if you don't get it, it's like people picking up somebody's stuff and sticking it on the top, right? Like,
Yeah, it
yeah, yeah,
from being able to do different things. And I think that as that future is people are starting to understand and look at and recognize, oh, oh,
yeah,
we don't
yeah.
have what is it? I don't remember his name. There's an architect that went blind, but he stayed in architecture.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
he's in San Francisco. He's done a
okay,
lot of things. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
he's done a lot of
but
things on
he
it too.
checked
Yeah,
all that, and I'm like,
yeah,
that people need to look and study and think like that, where you're like, "Oh, oh,
yeah,
oh."
yeah, yeah, and one of my friends that taught this, she had a design problem with that you had to, that there had to be some type of, you know, um, do we still say disability, right? But that some people, visually impaired or like auditorily impaired, all of these other things, mobility, concerns, and things like that. And then you were supposed to design the project like around that, and so that was, I mean, I thought that was a really good student project, right?
Well, it makes you think about
Mhm.
things. I remember doing a field trip with that high school program,
Mhm.
and, that was not a class that my son was in. I've never sat on his crits because the teacher didn't want me to sit on my son's crits, and I'm like, "Fair, totally fair." But we were on a field trip downtown Dallas, and I said, "Do you know why they are using those shrubs there?" And the students were like, "What? No, why?" And I said, "They're low, it has to do with safety," and when it explained all that, and I said, "Do you know why you have, um, holders on benches?" Had to explain that because they were like, "What?"
Yeah.
So, I think that the future is that thinking ahead and being able to accept and think, "Oh, these are different challenges that
Yes.
make us
Yeah.
better, and how
Yeah.
do we tie that in?"
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
when people go, "Do whatever you want." What No, you have to, like, with that
Yeah, there has to be
project,
a program and who are the users and yeah, yeah,
and here are the constraints. Now
yeah,
go be creative with that.
yes, yes.
And I think that helping students to understand and think about that, um, is helpful for them, and I think that when they see that it's okay, and I think that is part of that future is as they
Mhm,
see it's okay to think and understand and realize that whatnot ties in.
mhm.
Um, there was a student, she, um her parents wanted her out of the program and into something that would lead to medical.
Uh-huh.
And she was real disappointed and sad 'cause she loved architecture, and she was very
Yeah,
thoughtful about it. I said,
yeah,
"Don't worry, because once you understand the medical point, you can always come back into architecture. It's not going to be the same easy, but you'll have an understanding
Mhm.
that that some architects will never have, some landscape architects, because they've never had that side of the focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that is the future. People starting to see, oh, oh,
Yeah.
that ties in
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay. Was there anything else that you want to say?
yeah, I could go on forever. I can
It's
talk
okay.
forever. But no, the other is, yeah. Um, I just encourage whoever, wherever they are, to check out, even if they're kids or high school kids, check out the different kinds of architecture. I hope that we are going to have more people working on reno like that. The museum where it's an old building and they work and they update it so you can use it instead of
Yeah.
just tearing it
Yeah.
down.
Adaptive reuse.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's great. I mean, I have to
Hmm.
say, in Oklahoma, I literally thought it was Oklahoma, and I've driven through even small towns and have gone, "Oh my god, that's great," and
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
that's why I drive,
It's
and
great
I'm like,
that you do. It's great that you do these photographs, because all of us are always all right. Like I'm driving, when I drive like to Arizona and back, or when I used to
mhm,
drive the length of the state of California to take my daughter back and forth to school. I would be like, oh my gosh, there's so many areas. Like sometimes I would stop, and like take
mhm,
photographs. Most of the time, you're just like, you look and then you're like, right, you're headed for somewhere, and you just don't stop, and you're like, wow, I'd really like to do, like, oh, there's that one building that, I mean, I'll see like some things on the way. I'm like, gosh, I really want to stop and take over. But I mean, sometimes it's not even safe, right? Because you're on a freeway and you just, you
yeah,
can't do that.
I
But
don't
yeah.
know. I stopped at the Red River one time. I was driving. I had to look. There was the old metal bridge was in there, but I
Uh,
got off the highway and did that. You know that the little U turn that goes under the highway.
uh,
That
the
so I went
underpass.
on that and
Yeah.
I parked under the bridge and I'm trying to look and I can't see it and there's somebody else's property there. So I'm like, I don't go on to other people's property.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of a sudden there comes a guy on a four-wheeler and I waved him down. I said, "Is that the old bridge?" And he goes, "Well, yes, it is." I said, "Darn it, I can't see it." And he goes, "Well, if you come over there, there is a path down to the river and you
Uh,
can walk on the river." I said, "I can't go there because it has a gate and it says no trespassing. It's a private
uh,
road." He goes, "Oh, well, my cousin, nephew, whatever, and I are about to go in and do some work. We work there, so you can come on." I said, "Okay, well, I will go." So I walked to the gate and I went because my a coworker's like, "You gotta do that." So I got to the gate and I'm like, "Oh, wait, are you a serial killer?" And he looked at me, and the poor nephew, who's young 20s, looked at me, and he's in his Camaro, and he looks at me like, "What?" And the older guy was probably in his 30s. He
uh,
looks at me and he smiles and he goes, "Well, not today." I said, "Well, good. It's Sunday, so we are all good." And my coworker was like, I said, "He told
yeah.
me
Yeah.
not
Exactly.
today." No. Now, he could be a serial killer on Monday, could have been a serial killer on Saturday. So, yeah, I will stop anywhere. If there's something cool to look at,
Yeah.
um, I will stop and I will talk to people, um, just because. And then,
Mhm.
oh god, so if I wind up and you never hear from me again now, you'll be like, "Oh,
Well,
that
yeah,
she's talking about that."
exactly. Yeah, no, no, that's exactly it, Barbara. I'm like, okay, it's like let's hope nobody's listening to this. Anyway, that is a
Uh,
serial killer. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, okay, well, I'll stop the tape and then we
Okay.
can finish up. But thank you so much for being a guest on I've Never Met a Woman
Yes,
Architect
thank you.
before.
Thank you for asking. It was fun.
Thanks.